The harsh hum of fluorescent lights filled the sterile office as I sat opposite Marcus Wellington, my boss for the past 3 years, in his corner office overlooking the Denver skyline. The Rocky Mountains stretched out beyond the glass, majestic and imposing. But today, they felt less like inspiring giants and more like an insurmountable barrier pressing down on me. Marcus, impeccably dressed in an expensive suit and a meticulously knotted tie, reclined in his leather chair with a smug, almost predatory smile. "Sarah," he began, his tone carefully calibrated to sound both serious and compassionate. The kind of false concern that had become his signature. "I'm going to be blunt with you. The company is restructuring. We have to make some tough calls." I had been the senior marketing director at Pinnacle Solutions for 5 years, climbing the ranks from a fresh college graduate to the leader of a thriving department. At 32, I'd transformed a tiny team of 3 into a powerhouse of 15, boosted client retention by nearly 40%, and consistently shattered our revenue targets. My office walls were lined with awards, and my team trusted and respected me. I was proud of what I'd built. "What kind of decisions?" I asked cautiously, though a tightening in my chest already told me this conversation was headed in a bad direction. Marcus slid a thick manila folder across his polished mahogany desk, his expression unreadable. "We're downsizing the marketing department. Your role is being ... adjusted. We're offering you a position as a marketing associate with an annual salary of $35,000. The words slammed into me like a physical blow. I currently earned $85,000 a year. This wasn't just a pay cut, it was financial ruin. A staggering 58% reduction that would barely cover my mortgage in Denver's soaring housing market, much less my student loans and everyday expenses. "Marcus, this can't be serious," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady, despite the rage boiling beneath the surface. "I've generated over $2 million in new business this year alone. Under my leadership, my team has won 3 industry awards." He shrugged as if my achievements were meaningless. "The market's tough, Sarah. Everyone has to make sacrifices. You can take the new role, or ... double quotes." He paused, letting the threat linger. "You can leave. We'll offer you 2 weeks severance." The ultimatum hung heavy in the air. I glanced around his office, the expensive artwork, the upgraded furniture, the fancy espresso machine. Something didn't add up. This wasn't about saving money. It was something else. "I need time to think," I said, standing. "Of course. Take the weekend. But I need your answer by Monday morning." Walking back to my office, I passed my team's workspace. Jennifer was animatedly explaining campaign metrics to Tom and Mike, the pride in her voice unmistakable. These people depended on me. How could I break the news that their leader was being demoted to peer status? That evening, back in my Capitol Hill apartment with a glass of wine in hand, I stared at my laptop screen, reviewing job postings for marketing directors. The market was competitive, but I knew my worth. Still, something about Marcus's behavior gnawed at me. This felt personal. Driven by instinct, I accessed the company's confidential files. Digging deeper into the restructuring documents, what I uncovered chilled me. A folder labeled Confidential Restructuring contained a series of emails between Marcus and his brother-in-law, David Chen. Over the past 2 months, they'd plotted to replace me with David, offering him my current salary. David had no marketing experience. He was a failed restaurant owner who'd been financially dependent on his wife for over a year. Marcus was blatantly trying to steal my job to benefit family. But that wasn't all. I found evidence of Marcus inflating his expense reports, charging personal meals and entertainment to client accounts, and even funneling company funds to pay for his son's private school tuition. Nearly $40,000 in fraudulent expenses over the past 18 months, a clear case of embezzlement. As I scrolled through more files, I uncovered a deeper betrayal. Marcus had been lying to our biggest client, Meridian Corp. He showed them falsified campaign reports, taking credit for successes that were entirely the result of my team's efforts. The real data revealed our campaigns performed 30% better than he admitted. He was deliberately selling our services short to hide his incompetence. By Sunday night, I had a plan. I wasn't going to accept the pay cut or quit quietly. I was going to expose Marcus and dismantle his house of cards, no matter what it took. Monday morning arrived with a sharp October chill that seemed to seep into every corner of Pinnacle Solutions. The air inside the building was thick with tension, a quiet storm brewing beneath the surface. I dressed deliberately, my sharp navy suit, the one that made me feel powerful and in control. In my bag, a flash drive held everything I had uncovered over the weekend. Emails, expense reports, forged documents, and more. It was my arsenal. Marcus was already waiting in his office when I knocked on the doorframe. He glanced at his Rolex before looking up with a false smile. Sarah, perfect timing. Have you made your decision? I slid into the chair opposite him, noting with a flicker of satisfaction that my nameplate had been removed from the guest seat. Clearly he expected me to cave, to accept his terms, or quit. I have, I said calmly. I'm not taking the pay cut, and I'm not quitting. His eyebrows shot up, surprise flickering across his face. Excuse me? I'm staying in my current role, at my current salary, I stated firmly. Marcus's face flushed red, a vein throbbing at his temple. That's not how this works, Sarah. You don't get to set the terms here. I'm offering a generous alternative to termination. Generous? I almost laughed. Marcus, I know about David. The color drained from his face. I don't know what you're talking about. Your brother-in-law, I said, voice steady. The one you've been planning to install as marketing director while pushing me out. I've seen the emails. Marcus sprang to his feet, his chair rolling back abruptly. You've been snooping through confidential files? That's immediate grounds for termination. Is it? I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo I'd taken of one of his expense reports. Because I think HR will be very interested in why you charged your son's private school tuition to the Morrison client account. The room fell silent, heavy and suffocating. Marcus sank back into his chair, hands visibly shaking. What do you want? I want you to call off this restructuring charade. I want to keep my job, my salary, and my team. And I want you to stop lying to our clients about campaign performance. You can't prove anything, he spat, but the conviction was missing from his voice. Can't I? I stood, smoothing the fabric of my skirt. I have it all documented, Marcus. Every falsified report, every misappropriated expense, every lie. Timestamps, email chains, financial records. The question is, do you want to resolve this internally, or should I take it to the state attorney general's office? His face had turned ashen. Sarah, let's not be hasty. Maybe we can work something out. There's nothing to work out. I opened the door behind me. I'm going back to my office to do my job. You're going to send an email to the team explaining the restructuring has been postponed indefinitely. And you're going to start treating me and my department with the respect we deserve. As I left, I heard the frantic ring of his phone. I knew who he was calling, probably his wife or a lawyer. It didn't matter. The power had shifted. The week unfolded in tense silence. Marcus avoided me, limiting communication to terse emails. My team sensed the tension, but found relief in my reassurances that their jobs were secure. I doubled down on my work, launching a successful campaign for a tech startup that increased their lead generation by 25%. Still, I knew Marcus wouldn't relent. On Friday, an email from HR arrived. Disciplinary action review, scheduled for Monday morning. That evening, I met Lisa at a cozy coffee shop in Cherry Creek. Lisa was an employment attorney who'd helped me with contract issues when I first joined Pinnacle. I laid out the evidence, watching her eyes widen as she scanned the documents on her tablet. This is serious, Sarah, she said gravely. This isn't just workplace conflict, it's criminal fraud. The expense account manipulation alone could lead to felony charges. I know, I said. But I want to keep my job. I want to protect my team. Lisa's expression grew even more serious. Marcus is cornered now, and cornered people do desperate things. He'll try to discredit you, maybe even accuse you of fraud or lying. Are you ready for that? I thought about my apartment, my career, the people who depended on me. I have to be. We need to get ahead of this. Contact clients directly. Notify state authorities. You've given him a chance to do the right thing, but he's escalating. We need to protect you before he tries to destroy you. That weekend, I spent hours organizing everything. I created clear, chronological folders containing every piece of evidence. I drafted emails to key clients, especially Meridian Corp, explaining the situation and attaching accurate performance data. I also prepared a detailed report for the Colorado Department of Labor and the FBI's white-collar crime division. By Sunday night, I was ready for battle. Marcus had pushed me into this. Now it was his turn to face the consequences. I just hoped I had the strength to see it through. Monday morning dawned with the first snow of the season, a pristine white blanket quietly covering Denver's streets. The peaceful scene outside sharply contrasted the turmoil brewing inside Pinnacle Solutions. I arrived at the office 30 minutes early, determined to be ready for whatever storm was about to break. The HR meeting was set for 9 a.m. At 8:45, my phone buzzed Lisa, my attorney. Sarah, I have news, she said urgently. I contacted the Colorado Department of Labor this morning. They're fast-tracking your case. Marcus Wellington isn't new to them. He's been under investigation for complaints from other employees. You're not the first he's tried to manipulate. Her words hit me like a bolt of lightning. What do you mean? I asked, heart pounding. 3 former employees filed similar complaints in the past 2 years. Sudden pay cuts, forced resignations, suspicious hires to replace them. The department is very interested in what you have. Relief and anger mingled inside me. How many had Marcus crushed before? How many talented people pushed aside for his unqualified cronies? There's more, Lisa added. I spoke to Meridian Corp's legal team. When I mentioned falsified reports, their attorney almost exploded. They've called for an emergency meeting this afternoon with you and Marcus. At 9 a.m. sharp, I entered the HR conference room. Marcus was already there, flanked by Janet Morrison, our HR director. And surprisingly, David Chen, the brother-in-law slated to replace me. David looked uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact and nervously adjusting his tie. Sarah, please sit, Janet said evenly. We need to discuss serious allegations. Marcus leaned forward, his voice wounded but defensive. Sarah, I'm disappointed. After all this company has done for you, you've chosen to make false accusations and break confidentiality. False. I placed a thick folder on the table. Janet, I have documented proof of expense fraud, client deception, and nepotistic hiring. This is criminal behavior, not personal grievance. David whispered nervously. Marcus told me she was leaving voluntarily, to pursue other opportunities. Marcus shot him a deadly glare. David, focus on the real issue. And that is... I asked. Janet opened her folder. Marcus alleges you accessed confidential files without authorization and shared proprietary information. I almost laughed. Janet, these files were on my company laptop, which I'm authorized to use. The only external party I shared info with is my attorney, which is my legal right. Harassment. Marcus's voice cracked. I offered you a generous alternative due to budget cuts. That's business, not harassment. A 58% pay cut to install your unqualified brother-in-law is fraud and nepotism. Marcus? The room fell silent. David looked pale, staring at his hands. Janet furiously scribbled notes, her expression darkening. I also discovered Marcus has been embezzling, I continued, $40,000 in falsified expense reports and deliberate misrepresentation of campaign data to clients. Marcus stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. Janet, she's clearly unstable. We should. His phone rang, cutting him off. The caller ID drained the color from his face. Need to take this? Actually, Marcus, we all need to, I said, recognizing the number. That's Meridian Corp's legal department. They're calling about your falsified reports. The next hour spiraled into chaos: phone calls, heated debates, Marcus's panic growing by the minute. Meridian's attorney, Robert Hayes, didn't hold back. Mr. Wellington, your reported campaign results are 30% lower than actual figures. This indicates gross incompetence or deliberate deception. Either warrants immediate contract termination. Marcus tried blaming technical errors and miscommunication. Hayes wasn't buying it. We have Ms. Chen's accurate reports. The question, why hide your success? By noon, control had slipped entirely from Marcus's grasp. Janet called CEO Patricia Valdez, who was rushing back from a San Francisco conference. The Colorado Department of Labor scheduled a Wednesday investigation. 2 major clients demanded explanations after receiving my corrected data. During lunch, David approached me quietly. Sarah, I'm sorry. Marcus told me you were leaving voluntarily to start a business, and I was stepping in temporarily. Temporarily? I raised an eyebrow. Just a few months until they found a permanent replacement. I wouldn't have agreed if I'd known he was forcing you out. David, thanks for your honesty. But this isn't just about the job. Marcus is stealing from the company and lying to clients. That hurts us all. He nodded solemnly. I'm telling Janet everything. That afternoon, David detailed his conversations with Marcus, confirming the nepotism. But the final blow came when Patricia Valdez arrived at 3 p.m. She immediately demanded a private meeting with Marcus. 20 minutes later, Marcus emerged carrying a cardboard box filled with his belongings. His face was flushed, hands trembling as he passed without meeting anyone's gaze. Patricia stepped in, her voice steady but resolute. Sarah, I owe you a profound apology. Marcus's actions are not only unethical, they may be criminal. The company stands fully behind you and is committed to making this right. 3 months later, I sat in the corner office overlooking downtown Denver, the very office Marcus had once claimed as his own. The Rocky Mountains stretched majestically in the distance, no longer looming threats, but symbols of resilience and strength. I reviewed the quarterly reports. proud to see our marketing department's steady climb. Client retention was up, revenues increasing, and morale at an all-time high. The aftermath of Marcus's fall had been swift and thorough. Within days of his termination, the Colorado Department of Labor filed formal charges against him for wage theft and employment fraud. The FBI's white-collar crime division launched a deeper investigation into his expense accounts, which revealed the total stolen funds exceeded $60,000 after a meticulous audit. Even more gratifying was the reaction from the clients Marcus had deceived. Meridian Corp didn't just renew their contract, they increased it by 40% after seeing the authentic campaign results. 2 other major clients followed their lead, and news of our department's true capabilities spread quickly through the industry. Our revenue surged 25% in just 3 months. Marcus's legal troubles intensified rapidly. The expense account fraud brought felony embezzlement charges. The falsified client reports triggered additional counts of business fraud. His defense attorney tried negotiating a plea deal, but with irrefutable evidence stacked against him, Marcus faced up to 5 years in federal prison and was ordered to repay every penny stolen. Civil lawsuits piled on as well. Meridian Corp sued Marcus personally for damages caused by his deception. 3 former employees, similarly wronged, joined a class action suit for wrongful termination and wage theft. Marcus's assets were frozen. His house went into foreclosure, and his once respected name was utterly destroyed in the business community. David Chen, by contrast, was cleared of wrongdoing after fully cooperating with investigators. Far from the pawn Marcus intended him to be, David blossomed in a junior marketing role, bringing fresh ideas and sincere enthusiasm to our projects. My own career skyrocketed beyond what I'd imagined. Patricia Valdez, our CEO, promoted me to vice president of marketing with a 30% raise. I now led not only marketing but the entire customer acquisition strategy. Industry publications featured my story, and I was invited to speak at several conferences on ethical leadership and workplace advocacy. Yet the most meaningful changes were within my team. Jennifer earned a promotion to senior marketing manager. Tom and Mike received raises and greater responsibilities. The department buzzed with renewed energy, fueled by a shared sense of justice and recognition. One January Friday afternoon, an unexpected visitor appeared in my office. Catherine Wellington, Marcus's wife. She looked exhausted, defeated. "Sarah, I know you probably don't want to see me," she said quietly, "but I need to apologize for what Marcus did to you and your team." I gestured for her to sit. "Catherine, you don't have to apologize. You weren't responsible." She sank into the chair, clutching her designer handbag tightly. I should have known. The lavish dinners, the new car, the private school tuition. I should have asked questions. Marcus was a master at hiding things, I said gently, even from those closest to him. She swallowed hard. "He's going to prison, isn't he? Most likely. The evidence is overwhelming, and the prosecutor isn't entertaining plea deals." Tears welled in her eyes. "I'm leaving him. I've filed for divorce and am taking the kids back to my parents' home in Phoenix. I can't be part of this anymore." I felt a surprising rush of sympathy. "You're making the right choice. Your children deserve better." After she left, I stood by the window, watching the sunset paint the mountains in shades of gold and purple. Denver stretched out below, full of promise. I thought back to that moment 3 months ago when Marcus handed me his impossible ultimatum and how far I'd come. My phone buzzed with a text from Lisa, saw the news about Marcus's sentencing. For years in federal prison, justice served. I smiled, a deep sense of satisfaction washing over me. Marcus had tried to destroy my career to hide his crimes and protect his family. Instead, he'd lost everything: job, reputation, freedom, family. The consequences had been far more severe than I ever imagined. That evening, my team and I gathered at a rooftop bar in Loudoun. As we toasted another successful quarter, Jennifer raised her glass. "To Sarah," she said, "who showed us that sometimes the best answer to an impossible choice is to refuse to choose at all." I clinked my glass with hers, looking around at my team, my friends who had stood by me through the darkest times. To all of us, for proving that integrity and hard work always win in the end. As Denver's city lights twinkled beneath us and laughter filled the air, I reflected on the lesson I'd learned. Sometimes the most powerful word in business isn't yes or no, it's never. I had never given up, never backed down, and never accepted injustice as inevitable. Marcus forced me into an impossible choice, but I found a third option: fight back with truth, evidence, and unwavering resolve. He lost far more than a battle. He lost everything, and I gained more than I ever dreamed. This story wasn't just about revenge It was about standing up for what's right, protecting those who rely on you, and forging your own path when no good options remain. Sometimes, refusing to choose is the bravest choice of all.